podcast.
Touchdown Rams! Recovered by the Chargers. Touchdown UCLA!
With USC great and NFL stud, Frostee Rucker.
The Trojans back in front!
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Believe Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
What's up, Los Angeles, and welcome in to another edition of the LA Football Podcast here on the LA Football Network. LAFBnetwork.com is where you can find the show. We're also on YouTube at LAFB Network and everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you listen, we are. We're also on the Believe Podcast Network. And now, every Friday at 5, we are on AM, the mightier 1090, the LA Football Show. So make sure to tune in there every Friday as well. Amped up, guys. Amped up. Got a great show. We are 2-0 this weekend with LA football. Obviously, no NFL yet. That's happening later in the week, or this coming week is the kickoff. But UCLA, USC, both win their respective games. We're going to get all into it. And by we, I mean my good pal, the coach, is joining me yet again on the LA Football Show. What's up, Coach? What's going on, my man?
What's up, buddy? It's good to be here. I missed you.
Usually I have you just on when I start opening, but I wanted to do the Chris Collinsworth slide in, so I had to do it like that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what's up, man? How you been? What's going on? Anything new and exciting?
No, nothing really. Nothing new to report. Just same old. But yeah.
Happy Labor Day. Looks like you got some sun out there. Good for you.
A little pool party.
There you go. I love it. I had to work all day. I've been working since like 9 a.m. this morning. Still going strong.
Make something up. Like
I got no life. I'm a dad and I work. That's what I do now. But yeah, man, thanks again for jumping on with me. So we got a good show recapping that. We're also going to end with a little look at. I'm going to do a deep dive prediction end of the week for these Rams and Chargers games against Washington and Chicago. But the coach is going to give us some of his thoughts on what these games will do. So we'll do that quickly at the end of the game as well. But as always, show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Coach, have you made any bets recently, or no? Are you keeping away for now until the NFL season starts?
Yeah, because I don't like to bet on college sports. It's just something I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once the NFL comes around, I'm going to start dabbling. I'm going to really start getting into that betting scene. Well,
there you go. So good news for you then. You can go to betonline.ag. You can get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest and the world's, not the nation, not the state, the world's largest $200,000 NFL survivor contest is open now at BetOnline. So head to BetOnline on your mobile device or desktop. You're going to receive a 100% welcome bonus. If you've listened to the show a bunch, you know it's usually a 50% welcome bonus. Now it's 100%. So take advantage of their opening day super promo. Make a bet on the Thursday, September 9th season opener between your Super Bowl champion Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. And if you lose, your wager will be refunded. It's a win-win. Bet money, you still win, or you don't really win, but you get your money back. And up to $25 for new customers only when signing up and using the promo code NFL100. I feel like that was just a mouthful to say. But anyway, betonline.ag, head there. All these contests, bets, whatever, win some money, have some fun. I know I'm gonna check that out. Free money, get your money back if you lose. Who you taking in that game, by the way? Buccaneers or Cowboys?
I'm gonna go Bucks. I don't know. I don't believe that Dak is 100. I don't. The line's beaten up. Zach Martin's has issues. Yep. I don't trust that Tyron Smith. It was like on paper, Cowboys are great, but I don't know, and I don't.
They're still the Cowboys.
They're still the Cowboys, right? I like Zeke, but I don't know if he's going to have the true bounce back that everybody thinks he's going to have. So I don't know. I'm going to go Buccaneers. That defense is killer.
Did you watch Hard Knocks this year?
No.
Okay, so I don't know why. I watch Hard Knocks every year, but I don't know why. I don't know if it's just his Cowboys coaching staff, if it's Mike McCarthy, but it just doesn't feel like an NFL organization, if that makes sense. I know McCarthy's won a Super Bowl. You know, he's been around. A lot of these coaches are like old-time coaches, but I've watched other Hard Knocks and you just see the way things are run, how operations are done. And this Cowboys team, it just seems kind of just like cheesy, if you will. I mean, you won't know, you haven't seen it, but check it out if you do. And I'm curious, just watch an episode or two, and then you can just text me and be like, yeah, I agree, or maybe I'm off my rocker and I'm just hating on the Cowboys. I don't know. But it feels just like cheesy, not like a true team that you're like, yeah, I can get behind this team and like they're gonna win. You just watch and you're like, yeah, they're probably gonna be the Cowboys and win like 7 games again.
Do you think they're hamming it for the cameras? Like they know the cameras are there, so they're doing stuff that they think the audience will like.
I mean, that can be absolutely. But I just know even last year.
Which is why I kind of don't like Hard Knocks. I feel like it's a lot of production-based stuff.
Totally, yeah. Well, absolutely, and there's certain aspects, absolutely. But I think even like last year's with the Chargers and Rams, and we couldn't see as much because it was 2 teams combined and it was COVID, so there was restrictions. But you could just see things they operate like on the field, and you can just see how practices were run, and you get that behind-the-scenes look. And you're like, okay, that's like kind of cool seeing how the coaches operate that way. Or this Cowboys team doesn't seem like that. Right. But maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't showing us the whole picture. I don't know.
You never know. That's the thing. You never really know.
Yeah. And the team has a say in what they actually put out there. They might be like, nope, this is showing too much of what we're doing. Play the foo-foo stuff. So that could be it.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I agree with you. I think the Bucs in that one. But let's get into this college slate, dude, because LA is 2-0 this week. And let's start with SC. SC welcomes San Jose State. SC is big favorites. Not as big as one might expect, though. I know there was a lot of like hate throughout the game, and a lot of people thought there should have been a bigger blow up, but SC was only a 14-point favorite in this game. And that's, I think, more credit to San Jose State, who was the Mountain West champs last year. Granted, it's Mountain West, but still, I mean, they play the games. They went undefeated in the regular season last year. They have a returning quarterback, returning coach. They put up a lot of points. They put up a 45 spot on Southern Utah the week before. Let me ask you this. So USC wins 30-7. Do you think it should have been a more dominant performance, or are you okay with that margin of victory?
Look, man, a win is a win, right? No, should USC come out and slapped San Jose State on paper and 20 years ago? Yeah. USC comes out and slaps San Jose State. But this ain't 20 years ago. It's 2021. It's a different type of ball game now. And San Jose State is a different breed of program than they were, back in the day, and that what people remember. And they don't get the respect that they deserve. And San Jose State is a respectable program. USC is kind of known to come out slow. Last year, they was it Arizona State last year? Or I don't remember
every game,
right? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Every game was like a fourth quarter comeback, but so that just kind of seems to be Clay Helton's coaching style, something that he does or his approach. The players don't respond well early on, apparently. So I don't know. I just think that's just kind of how USC operates, but they pull away late. And granted, this is a brand new receiving core. Outside of Drake London, it's a fresh batch of faces for Keaton Slovis to build a rhythm and build chemistry with. So that may have played a part as well. Even though Drake had a good game, but Keaton Slovis had a really clean game as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what. And we'll get more into it, but I want to start with the offense. I know there's a lot of concern about the offense, and they stalled. They actually started off relatively quick for SC. Like they scored on their first 2 possessions. Granted, they had to settle for a field goal on one of them, and then after that, they just like stalemated and didn't do anything until like almost the fourth quarter. It seemed like, but it was they were trying to establish the run. Graham Harrell proved he wanted to get the running game going with new running back from Texas, Keontae Ingram, who was kind of more the lead back. It was pretty split with him and Mavai, but Ingram did have a little bit more success on the ground with a little higher average, 5.7 yards per carry. But they ran the ball over 30 times, which is, I said in the pregame show, like, hey, this team wants to run the ball. I know everyone says air raid, but they want to run the ball. And at a high clip, because that's going to open things up for the air raid, for Keaton Slovis, for them to hopefully have some deep balls, some explosive plays. Unfortunately, we didn't really see that. Their most explosive play was the first touchdown to Washington, which I think was like a 29-yard touchdown pass or whatnot. And other than that, everything was pretty, standard. I want to say dink and dump, but more short yardage stuff. But the offense I think it's going to get figured out. Keaton Slovis, like you said, very clean. Finished 24 of 36, no picks, 2 touchdowns. So it was a very efficient game for the offense. It just wasn't fireworks like people were expecting against San Jose State. Everyone was like, oh, they should come out and put up 50 points. Yes, we want to see a little more higher margins maybe. They still won by 21. There was never a threat of them losing the game. I mean, I'm sure some diehard SC fans thought there was. There really wasn't. And the offense is going to get clicking. It's going to take, it shouldn't take time because it is the same offensive system. It is the same core of players, but let's give them a pass the first week of the season and see how this progresses. I am honestly, you know me, I'm always a glass half full guy, but I'm not overly concerned over a less than stellar performance by the offense because I think they just have room to improve.
Yeah, and I agree. But again, I mean, and I don't cover them daily like I used to, but there's a lot of turnover on that offense. I feel, Elijah Vera Tucker's gone. Those are big shoes to fill. Monroe St. Brown is gone. I feel like Tyler Vaughn's gone.
Vaughn's is gone. Yep.
Drake London is going. He's not going to be able to do this every single week. He's not going to go over and put up $130 every week. It's just not going to happen.
He might.
So
he's my Biletnikoff, baby. Let's go.
Hey, give him the Heisman now. Then if he's doing that, like that's awesome. That'd be cool. That would be pretty dope. But no, I'm just saying, like he needs that support, those new roles, those new cast members to step up. And I know Taj had a big game, or Taj Washington, is that his name?
Yeah. Yep.
I know he stepped up and made some big plays, but we used to talk about the strength of that receiving core, and I think the kid out of Orange Lutheran is hurt. So he's not going to be around. So there's got to be some guys step up here for this receiving core. Drake London's not going to be able to carry the show, in my opinion, the whole season.
No, that's a good point too. And we actually, our beat writer Ahmad mentioned that in his recap and takeaways, is that as good as Drake London is, and he had, I believe it was a career day actually with 12 receptions and 137 yards, but they need other weapons to step up. I mean, everyone talks about the explosiveness of what this offense can be, talked about this dynamic receiving core, but we need to see it. It can't just be Drake London. And so I think he can put up 10 plus receptions a game, but if they want to be the offense that puts up 40 points a game, they need other guys to step up. And whether that's Slovis trusting them, whether that's timing, whatever that may be, whether it's Graham Harrell play calling, whatever. But hopefully we'll start seeing that rhythm, chopping wood, improve every week. And we'll see them play a Stanford team this next week that obviously struggled last week against Kansas State. So it should be another game where SC can really almost, I don't want to say treat it like a practice, but more of like a tune-up game than a usual Stanford game, it seems like this season.
You would think, yeah. USC needs to be careful because it's still Stanford, right? They still,
yes,
it's still a conference opponent, and they can't come in, looking ahead too far. But yeah, I do, just granted and given what we've seen, USC should win this handily.
Yeah, and we'll get to that later in the week. But let's talk. Okay, so the offense had their struggles, but again, no struggle, but they didn't have any blatant concerns, not big turnovers, not a lot of penalties, stuff like that. It was just, it looked a little sloppy. They just couldn't get that rhythm. What people need to understand too about an air raid, which whether you love it or hate it, which it seems like more people are starting to hate now that USC is running it, air raid is all about rhythm. Like you have to get on a rhythm, get going. You have to, you build on momentum. And if you can't get going, you can never get the train going. It's really hard to get anything moving. And so for them, it's going to be really about getting a rhythm early on. And then if they can get that rhythm early on, we'll see these big point outputs that I think a lot of people hope. So my last question for you about the offense is, do you believe in this offensive scheme for USC, or do they need to tweak some things differently, or are we just overreacting from 1 week?
Yeah, no, after 1 week, you don't need to necessarily go back to the drawing board and reinvent everything you're doing for the whole season. No, stick to your gun, stick to your game plan. This, like you said, this is week 1. The game plan that they had going forward might not just have been the best game plan, right? Given COVID and stuff of that nature, and they may not have the best film on San Jose State. There's a lot of factors that go into a week 1 matchup, right? Mm-hmm. And I think at this point it's pretty easy to just chalk it up to that and say, all right, that's a W. Let's move on.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. And what I will say, I'm a big Graham Harrell guy. I've loved him since he came here from North Texas, and he's a guy I think will be a head coach here soon in the league somewhere. But I do like that Clay Helton has basically given him the entire offense. And he says many times, like, yeah, it's Clay's offense. What he wants to call, he calls. I don't influence him on that. Like he mentioned in his press conference, like, yeah, I really liked how Graham was really trying to establish the run and pound the rock and stuff like that. So I like that he's giving Graham the full reins of the offense. But now let's see, hopefully, that switch into a little bit more success, and specifically in the red zone, because I think that's where they struggled the most is when they get down to those red zone opportunities. It seems like all of a sudden they stall out and they get third and shorts and they run these HB dives from shotgun right up the middle when everyone knows it's coming, and they get stopped every single time. So hopefully they'll get a little bit more creative in the red zone, because if so, this could be a very different, this could be a 42 or a 49-7 game instead of 30. And we're not even questioning anything. We're saying, wow, okay, that's how SC should have looked in week 1. So to me, I like the process. Now let's just start seeing them get a little more creative in the red zone. And I think we'll see a lot better results. But again, 30-7 win. It's not all freak out. They still won by 21, or excuse me, 23, if I could do math. But before we move on, I do want to talk about the defense, because the defense, balled out. This is it's San Jose State, but still, San Jose State won the Mountain West. They put up 45 points the week prior, and they could do nothing against this USC defense that flies around the football and gets after the quarterback. And now when you have, the combination of Drake Jackson and the new incoming, number 1 recruit of the year, or of the entire country, I should say, they have a phenomenal pass rush that didn't even really get home at all, but they were obviously putting the pressure on the quarterback, forcing him into, off timing on routes and stuff. So what were your thoughts, at least on the defense, that you could be excited about for this team moving forward?
This is a defense that you and this is a defense that when your offense isn't necessarily clicking on all cylinders, it's a defense that's going to keep you in games. And I cannot state my belief enough in games are won and lost in the trenches, and the trench warfare and everything from there just benefits as long as your trenches are doing well. And for the USC defense, man, Corey Foreman, Drake Jackson, that is a very scary pass rushing duo off the edge, and two very stellar athletes that can not only get after the pass rush or get after the passer, but they're effective in the run game as well. So yeah, those two, I think it's exciting to see that already they're starting to affect games in a positive way. This is the first time we've seen those two on the field together. As you alluded to, Foreman's a true freshman and one of the best in all of college football at that. And then on the back end, you see these guys making plays because of these guys up front. Greg Johnson making that pick six. And there's a lot of things to look forward to for this USC defense. And not to be too hyperbolic or whatever, but yeah, this is a good defense, and I think this is the defense that USC is going to hang their hat on this season.
Yeah, well, we even saw Drake Jackson, drop back and get an interception to start the game off on the second or third drive of the game. So, the combination of him and Corey Foreman is so exciting. And Frostee and I were talking last week about how much Corey Foreman would play, because they keep a lot close to the vest. We're like, is he going to start the whole game? We know he's obviously going to get in there. But he pretty much stamped it that he's the unquestioned starter on the outside not next to, but across from Jackson. And that lethal pairing is going to be so fun to watch continue to blossom, mature. Is Drake Jackson a first-round pick, you think, in this year in the NFL draft?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to go in the first 32.
Yeah, he's so good. So fun to watch. So, yeah, it's the fact that the offense had its struggles, and yet the defense was so dominant, had a score of their own, obviously. So added 7 to the board. And they were even missing a lot of good players, specifically, starters as safety, senior starter. Let's give a shout out to the freshman, Kalen Bullock, who started in his stead, finished with 7 tackles and really played a phenomenal game. So you like seeing that mentality that Todd Orlando started building on this defense, the next man up, but everyone buying in, having true depth. Because a lot of SC teams of the past, 5-6 years, they haven't had that true depth. They maybe have some elite starters, but when guys go down, they don't have a next man up that can step up and still make this team competitive. And now we're seeing that as, guys have gone down in camp and fall practices, and we have these young guys stepping up to really come out and play and do well. So this defense is exciting, man. The Stanford offense did not look very good last week, so I'm excited to see what this USC defense does against them on Saturday. I'll be there at the game. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I think that's going to be a good one for this defense to really showcase what they can do.
Yeah. So anyway, USC starts 1-0, tied atop the Pac-12 standings, a non-conference game, but they stay undefeated for now. So hey, we'll take the win and move on to Stanford next week. But now let's get into UCLA. What's up, LA? Sorry for the interruption. Don't go anywhere. Quickly, though, I just got to tell you, I don't know if you've heard, but apparently former NBA player, former Laker great, Lamar Odom, may be returning to professional basketball in Spain soon. Apparently, he's going to try out for Pau Gasol's team. It's kind of cool, kind of exciting, but he's been taking this new product that he owes credit to, and it's called Balance 7. Balance 7 is a pH balancing alkaline supplement drink. It's like vitamins or supplements in liquid form. Just 1 ounce a day, 3 times a day, and in a week, you're going to start seeing effects. That's crazy. As you know, all of us that play sports, or even if you don't play sports, if you're, work a lot, you're on your feet a lot, just getting older, your body starts breaking down. Sometimes you need that extra boost to rebuild your energy, rebuild certain aspects to make you just feel better, more productive. And products like Balance 7 help. You can see how Balance 7 has helped Lamar Odom, and now you can see the help as well. As right now, if you go to balance7.com, this is the number 7, so balance7.com, and use the promo code BELIEVE, you'll get $10 off their 32-ounce bottle. The bottle lasts 11 days, which is the perfect amount of time to feel the pH balancing and the drink go to work. So it's just enough time, get $10 off, and you can start seeing the results before you re-up. Again, that's balance7.com. Use my code BELIEVE at checkout. I did it. Lamar did it. Many others have done it. Worked for them, worked for him, worked for me, and it can work for you too. Balance7.com, promo code BELIEVE. Because this game, I can't remember the last time I was this amped over not only just a UCLA game, but really just a college game. I say many times on the show, I really root for both teams. I went to Long Beach State. We had no football. So I actually, during college, would go to SC and UCLA games. I had friends from both. Like, where do you want to go? And I know it's weird for people to understand because it's a rivalry, but since I had no ties to either, I just loved LA football and going to good football games. UCLA hasn't been good in forever. So, usually the more fun games were the SC games. UCLA, we had fun tailgating at Brookside Golf Course. But this game, I was just so amped for. Obviously, when an SEC team comes to town, there's a lot to get excited about. But we've seen 2 years prior when Oklahoma's come and they just get their doors blown off and it's a horrible game. This one has felt different because we've talked a lot how I think this UCLA team is going to turn the corner this year. I've been one of their biggest spokespersons all offseason saying, there's a lot of experience returning. Chip's just saying, trust the process. I think we're going to finally see the offense starts clicking. The defense is going to be much improved. We saw it all in this one. Coach, we'll get into the game, but just give me your vibe for this game leading into it and during. Just what was your vibe during the game?
Man, I think the best word to describe it was belief. I feel like there was belief not only within the program. Like I feel like these guys that are key players now, Coda, Phillips, DTR, obviously, Sean Ryan, on the offensive side, especially these guys have been in the program. They've grown with Coach Kelly. They believe and they want UCLA to be back on the map. So these are the guys that are turning this thing around. These are the guys. These are the Taj Boyds that when you think of Clemson, you kind of forget about Taj Boyd, but he was the one that really kind of turned that ship around. Pivotal for that program. And I think these guys we're watching great now, call. The guys are just right.
It's a great call, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think the guys that we're seeing now, the DTRs, the Dolchiches, the coaches, the guys I just listed off. These are the guys that are turning that ship around, and then that, and this is a really exciting time because this season is almost unpredictable because this could go at this point. It could go anywhere. It could go to a playoff berth, or it could go completely off the rails, and Chip Kelly gets fired at the end of the year. Like,
yeah,
right now this is the most exciting point in UCLA football that I can remember. And being being only 30 years old.
Me too, man. Even all the Jim Mora years, which there were some good times in the Jim Mora years.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it ended poorly, but they had some big wins while he was there. He had a lot of winning seasons. They were never nationally renowned, but there were some good teams, some solid teams. I think back to those, and I'm trying to remember. Obviously, it was a while ago now, but I don't remember there being as much hype as there is right now. And maybe it's just because it was so dark for so long that now it just feels so bright. Where there it was all just kind of that mediocre glimmer, and now it's just like from darkness we see the sunrise and everyone's just like pumped. But it was a beautiful thing watching this game, being here in Pasadena, and I know obviously a lot of LSU fans. I mean, SEC is going to travel, and I say this all the time on the show. I feel like we cover LA football, and there always is the opposing fans. Like, it's what it is. We're in Los Angeles. Teams are going to travel here. The new fanship of football, whether it's college or pros, are traveling fans. Gone are the days, honestly, anyone out there listening, gone are the days where there's like 3 teams that travel. Like, oh, these 3 teams travel. Every fan travels now. Every fan in America looks at the schedule, chooses 2 or 3 games they want to travel to, and every one of those on the schedule, if there's an LA team, that's immediately circled because they want to come to freaking Los Angeles, no matter what time of year it is, to hang out, go to Disneyland, go to the beach, check out our iconic stadiums, check out our great weather, our great food, everything we have to offer here. That's what it is. That's the last thing I'm going to say about that. But the Rose Bowl itself was just electric. Yeah, LSU fans, but there was a crap ton of Bruins fans there as well. Just football fans, just happy to have football back. Packed house. It was loud. It was raucous. It was just awesome, man. Especially after last year having no fans whatsoever. And then last week, obviously, everyone making a big deal about, no fans or like very little fans at the Hawaii game. I think it was like 33,000, which isn't honestly horrible. It just looks horrible in a 90,000 seat stadium that is the Rose Bowl. But I was just so pumped by the environment. We're going to get to the game here in a second. But dude, I was just I'm getting like my hair standing up, just even thinking back to like what it was like on Saturday being there.
Yeah, man. It was exciting. It was fun. Not even being there, you could just feel that the atmosphere was electric, and you could just tell that something special was happening. And I don't know, it was cool. It was fun. It was a cool moment to see UCLA on the big stage like that, and not only see them there, but succeed and pull through. Yeah,
and they had a big monument, or not monument, but a memorial or tribute, there you go, in between the first and second quarters for the late great Terry Donahue. So you had the likes of Troy Aikman and all these great UCLA Bruins that came back, and just a lot of Bruins in the house. And we just haven't felt that in a while, so it was good to just see like pride in this UCLA team. And there was a reason for that. It is because this team is on the verge of doing something much better they haven't done, and that started with this game. So let's start with offense. DTR, overall, a good game. You look at the stat sheet, it's, he's over 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns. It's funny because he only had 9 completions, but when you throw a couple of deep ones to Kyle Phillips and Dulcich and let your playmakers do the work, then hey, that's all good. Do it for you.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, though. The running backs, Britton Brown and Zach Charbonnet. I think there's no question this is the best running back duo in the Pac-12. Could this be a top 5 running back duo in the country?
I mean, dude, they're good. Like Charbonnet,
am I getting ahead of myself 2 weeks in?
You're getting a little ahead of yourself because I think I think you'll agree with me, and I don't think you're meaning to do this, but Brown and Charbonnet are good, and Charbonnet's real good.
Yeah.
But the offensive line deserves all the credit in the world for what
100%.
This running attack has done, and that's the only thing holding me back from anointing Brown and Charbonnet as like one of the best duos in all of college football. Is this is like, yeah, they're good, man, but a lot of running backs would be good behind an offensive line, right? Like I am just really excited to see what this offensive line continues to do, because this is just the beginning. That we're barely scratching the surface of how good this unit can become throughout the season. And man, and it's only and no disrespect to Britton Brown. This guy's going to be instrumental to the 2021 Bruins, and he's going to play a vital role. But for anybody that is familiar with the movie The Program, that's what we're going to see. This was kind of Britton Brown's job once, leading into 2021. Then Charbonnet shows up, and okay, it's the hometown fella who was a stud back in the day, and let's see if he still got it. Well, Charbonnet still has it. So this is Charbonnet is going to be a stud, and he's going to be the leading ball carrier moving forward. There's just no ignoring it. You can no longer say that he's not RB1. But yeah, Britton Brown is going to play a vital role being Charbonnet's backup, and that's going to be a really fun attack to see.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting white girl wasted on all the Charbonnet I was drinking on Saturday night.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
But no, I've said all offseason, I think this is the best offensive line in the Pac-12. Just the continuity they have, who they're returning. I mean, Sean Ryan, we've talked before. He could end up being a first round pick potentially. He'll definitely get drafted pretty high. Could work his way into the first round. Has that talent. I mean, I remember we started covering the team when he was a freshman. We're like, all right, this is going to be a good player. Now here we are 3 or 4 years later, and he's potentially going to be a first round pick. So this offensive line deserves a ton of credit, and they are a huge reason why these backs are as good as they are. And what makes this two-headed monster so exciting is, and I want to talk about something that I'm curious your thoughts on. So first off, let's just say this. Zach Charbonnet is unbelievable, like just electric, exciting to watch. Again, 11 carries, 117 yards, a 10.6 yard average for a touchdown. You forget Britton Brown had a 5.6 yard average, 17 for 96 and a touchdown. Like, that is a phenomenal game. Like, that is a very efficient running attack from Britton Brown, and it's almost like he's just such an afterthought because of how electric Charbonnet is. Now, what I wanted to bring up was all game, everyone on Twitter, sometimes myself included, even the announcers were like, just feed Charbonnet the ball. Give him the ball. Why is he not, like, why is Britton Brown in there? Why is Charbonnet in there? Now, I think, like, after stepping back, I was saying the whole time too, I'm like nothing against Britton Brown. He's been great, but just feed Charbonnet because I just want to see him. I just love watching him. Just the way he's breaking tackles, the way he sees his vision. Yep. But it seems like what Chip and this offense is doing, and they have this vision, and it's sometimes when you have a back that good, or you want to make a back that good, you need like a setup man almost. And you need a guy that does things a little differently, that sets things up for that other back to be so successful. I'm not saying Zach Charbonnet couldn't have 30 carries a game and be over 200 yards and be great. But sometimes with what Britton Brown does, doing the dirty work, then opens things up for the fewer carries that Charbonnet has. You're a running back coach. Am I making any sense at all, or is that sounding dumb?
No, you're 100% accurate on that. I mean, these two provide the same thing. Like, these two running backs give you the exact same thing, and there's nothing against, like I said earlier, there's nothing against Brown. Charbonnet just does it on another level.
Yeah,
and it's just the way it is. And it's UCLA should count themselves lucky because they have 2 starting caliber tailbacks that they get to, now use half the wear and tear on. Yeah. Right. So now and for me, the key to a good rushing attack, obviously good offensive line, but it's fresh legs. If you got Charbonnet's good, right? But if you feed him the ball 15 times before intermission, how good is he going to be in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have a quality depth guy, if you don't have, maybe even a third sometimes, your running attack is going to run out of fuel pretty quickly. So, yeah, Britton Brown is just as important as Charbonnet, and vice versa. Like, these two feed off of each other. These two will always keep each other motivated and in check because competition breeds success. And these two, trust me, these two are pushing each other not only in practice, but they're pushing each other in the games as well. They're watching each other. They're keeping tabs, and whenever Charbonnet breaks a 10, 15 yard run, Britton Brown is on the sideline. He's hyped, but he's also in the back of his mind. All right, now I gotta break a 20. Now it's my turn. I got to do something. So it's gonna be that way, man. It's gonna be fun to see these two not only carry this Bruins offense, but it's going to be fun to see how far they push each other and how good they really get.
Yeah, and you made a great point there in the beginning, and Chip Kelly has said all season so far, we just got to finish. It's all about finishing. You'd see him on one of the highlights, they caught like him mouthing like finish. Last year losing all 4 games by a combined 15 points. So it was a team that was on the brink of being really good last year even. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the freshness of legs, and I know everyone wants to see Charbonnet out there, but by giving Britton Brown carries, and again, we're saying this in a good, like Britton Brown is really, really good, so it's not like he shouldn't be getting them anyway. But when you're up 7 points with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you have Zach Charbonnet, who's run the ball 9 times coming at you, you're going to see some successful runs late in the game, which we saw on those last few drives, extending the play. And then we see the touchdown from Kyle Phillips because then they're expecting the run. Like, that is the genius of what Chip Kelly has been building. And, to his credit, he stuck with it because he's gotten so much criticism for it. And, rightfully so. They haven't been winning. Mm-hmm. But trusting the process. And now we kind of see the madness of what he's doing and the excitement of, like, that offense, dude, it was just fun to watch what they were doing between the running backs, between the play action, between Dulcich, who could be one of the best tight ends in the Pac-12, between this really good receiving core, and then DTR when, hey, we just need 9 completions out of you, and we're going to put 38 points on the board. Just get us 9 completions, and we'll be good. Like, that's exciting.
It is exciting. And the fact that, and to kind of go back and give a little bit more love to the rushing attack, when you have a guy like Britton Brown who runs just as hard as Charbonnet, and Charbonnet is, I don't think there's any secret. Charbonnet is a more talented guy, right? I don't think anybody's questioning that anymore. And if they are, they haven't watched the past 2 games. But Charbonnet is talented, and he runs like the guy's kind of the total package. Yeah. And when you have guys like that, Charbonnet is just gonna wear defenses down. And then you have Britton Brown, who's and they're spelling each other, and both guys are running just as hard as the other, but the defense is getting worn down regardless of who's in the game. Like your running backs aren't getting worn down like that defense is. The defense is getting pounded every single play. But that running back, it's not the same guy every play, right? So it's Charbonnet 2 drives, and all of a sudden Britton Brown's coming in and running just as freaking hard. So that defense is not getting any time off because these 2 guys are keeping each other in check. And I love the fact that both of them, they have different styles of running. I like Charbonnet's a little bit better. I feel like he's a little bit more under control. Mm-hmm. But Britton Brown, dude, this guy's going to go somewhere just because of the way he carries himself and the tenacity he plays with and the way he carries the ball. The dude has drive.
Oh, yeah. Well, even going into last year, he averaged over 5.5 yards per carry with him and Dimitri Felton. So he's obviously an efficient runner, a power runner. You as a running back coach just has to love watching this team with what they do with these backs and this offensive line and how this offense goes through this running game, and then it's going to open things up. And as DTR continues to improve, I know it's year 4, so we shouldn't have to say that, but that's just the style of quarterback he is. He needs to, chop wood, stack bricks, continue to improve game by game. This offense could be unbelievably dynamic coming in, when we get down to the stretch where it becomes really important. And I know they have a brutal schedule, but from what we saw in week 1 with the likes of Washington, Oregon, and some of these other Pac-12 North teams, schedule might not seem as brutal as it is. Again, 1 game, so I'm sure those teams will bounce back. But this offense certainly looks like it's heading in the right track. Now the defense, this Jerry Azzinaro-led group that has been ridiculed, and rightfully so. They've been not a very good unit since he's come in with Chip Kelly. But they've been good so far, and they were just fun to watch. His style of defense in this 2-4-5 scheme that he runs or whatever it is. It's very, hybrid, if you will, with a ton of fast, speedy defensive backs. all over the football. They take a lot of chances with blitzes, but they really didn't give up any big plays other than they gave up the one with the referee rub route, which was just unfortunate. Touche Boutte. I mean, that was just smart play from the receiver. And then other than that, though, they kind of kept most of it in front of them. But what were your thoughts on the defense? That is a unit that has had a lot of struggles, but they've so far this season, especially against LSU, I thought looked like a extremely improved group and one that's actually fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's a group that has learned by taking lumps. And now those lumps have made them one of the most experienced defenses in the country, and one that it's almost like that little brother syndrome, to where you beat up on the little brother and he's getting beaten up on every day, but then all of a sudden little brother is the experience he's taken from those beatings, and now he's a little bit bigger, he's a little bit stronger, he's seen a little bit more. Now little brother doesn't seem so inferior anymore. So I think UCLA. These guys have been playing together for a while, and they were bad. Like you just said, they were not a good group. Mm-hmm. Well, they were young. They were inexperienced, but the coaching staff believed in them. They believed in each other. They've stuck together, and now all of a sudden, here we go. This is what they've been preaching. This is what the coaching staff has been preaching. This moment, this season is what they've been working towards, because they've been preaching to this group. Keep at it, keep working, keep grinding. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Well, now it's happening. They're seeing it come to fruition, and this defense seeing it happen now, they're just going to believe in it even more than they already did. So the success that they're seeing, it's the old age-old cliche, it's going to breed more success. Mm-hmm. So as good as they've looked the first 2 weeks, and now that standard's been set, they're just gonna keep getting better. And this is the type of group that when you get beaten like they've been beaten in the past, mm-hmm. you don't forget that. That's always going to be in the back of your mind. So they're not gonna get caught up in the hype. They're not gonna believe too much in themselves. They're gonna keep themselves down to earth, week to week, game by game. We have a goal to keep, and they're not gonna get too big ahead, because it wasn't too long ago they've been on the opposite end of this. So that's a unit that doesn't get too caught up in the hype. They're going to stay true to themselves.
I loved in Chip Kelly's press conference after the game was asked, how impressed are you by this defense? And he said, no, I don't want this to be a headline, but he said, I'm not impressed, because I've seen it. I've seen the maturity of this group. I've seen the growth from year in and year out. I've seen what they do in practice to our offense. So this is the expectation. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm happy, blah, 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 but I'm not impressed, because this is what we expect. This is what we see every day in practice. And I like that, because it shows that they're not playing outside of their ability. It's not like, wow, they just had 2 great games, but they're going to fall back down. Like, this is the expectation of what they should be. And watching Quantrez Knight fly to the ball and almost do a pick 6 as he's like Supermaning over, seeing Quentin Lake blow guys up in the backfield as he's flying all over, seeing all these different players that have, like you said, grown up together, been here for a while, taken their lumps, taken their crap from the media and fans about being the worst defense in the Pac-12 and, sub, which they were. I mean, they were that. But now with coaching, with maturity, with trust in Azanero, fourth quarter, here we are up 11 or whatever, and he's still sending blitzes. Sometimes that can drive you crazy, but in this game, I loved it, because let's just make a statement. This is the SEC. Keep going after him hard. And yeah, I think this defensive, I had Tukni Nguyen from the LA Times on a few weeks ago, and I talked about if this defense can be a top half unit in the Pac-12, not best, not just a top half unit in the Pac-12, does this UCLA team have a chance to win this Pac-12 South division? And so that was one of the questions I posed. And after seeing these first 2 weeks, it certainly seems like they can be in the top half. Again, we're 2 weeks in, but our job is to talk about these 2 games in. And 2 games in, I would say they're definitely in the top half, maybe even top 3. USC so far has looked a little better overall, but they've only played 1 game. But that shows me this team has a real good shot at the Pac-12 South and a real good shot at the Pac-12 entirety title. And who knows, like you said, after a big win against SEC, if they can get another out-of-conference win against Fresno State and then run house on the Pac-12, dare I say UCLA makes a run for the playoff. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. But when was the last time we've ever even said that about this team? So the fact that we can even thought bubble question, that's a good sign.
No, it is a very good sign. Yeah, and a little too far ahead of ourselves right now.
Way too far.
Yeah. And then that's that's a good point though. And kind of speaking, we've kind of mentioned it, how this group is the defense anyway is experienced enough. And the offense, you can kind of say the same thing about.
Yeah.
That they're experienced enough to not get ahead of themselves. So yeah. So if Chip Kelly and the staff has to do a good job of keeping this team, focused on the true goal and the whole season goal. And if you get too hyped up and too excited about 2-0, that's the standard you're setting for yourself. And that's the standard you're setting for the program. We get excited for 2-0, that we're satisfied with 2-0. That's the message. I think that's the message that Chip Kelly and his staff has to convey to his team is if we get caught up now and we start, getting lost in the headlines, then we're setting the standard for UCLA to be a 2-0 program. That's the standard we're setting, and that's not the standard we're here to set. So I think that's the message that UCLA has to approach this upcoming week with, because there's a lot of hype, and this team, these players have not had this amount of hype in a while.
Yeah. I mean, these players have never had it, these current ones. So
it's
exciting for them. But yeah, how do you rein that in and say, hey, this is now who we are. We got to go week in and week out, put in the work and do it, which it sounds like they are. Again, in his press conference, he said these guys just want to come to work. Like they don't want off days. They have a bye week this coming week. They don't play Fresno for 2 weeks. It's like they don't want to go on vacation or do this. Like, we're going to be here working, getting ready, because we believe this is a special team. We can do special things, which is exciting to hear. So, the last thing I'll say is this, and I'll let you follow up if you want, but obviously when this happens, when a Pac-12 team, specifically UCLA, who's struggled in years past, beats an SEC team, there's always, from a certain realm of the media, fans, there's always these excuses that come out. Well, look what LSU had to deal with. Yes, that is actually a big deal. They did have to deal with a lot. But there's LSU is not the same team. They had a down year last year. There's still a lot of unknown this year. They have a new quarterback, this, and that. There's always these excuses. Like, I am so sick and tired of people being able to pick and choose when the SEC is better than everyone, and when they're like, oh, well, that's just a down year for them, so that wasn't a good win. UCLA and the Pac-12 beat up on LSU, a 2019 national champion team, a big powerhouse SEC team, and that's it. No drawing excuses or saying this and that. So if you're a Bruins fan, take pride, be hyped. You beat an SEC team. Don't let anyone detract and say, well, yeah, it was maybe a down year for them. They had to travel, they had to do this and that. No. None of that baloney. I don't care. Maybe LSU does have a bad year. Maybe they do. But coming to this game, LSU was a top 25 ranked team. SEC, that was everyone in the world was picking them to win. Surprisingly, not a few of the broadcasters, actually. On the broadcast before, Acho and Chris Peterson both picked UCLA.
They did.
Yeah, they did. I picked them as well on multiple shows I was on. I was the only one to pick them, but I did. And so, yeah, this is a good win, a great program win. Don't let any media or Southern Conference people tell you that it's another down year for LSU, so it's not a great win for UCLA. This is a great win and one that the program's going to build upon for this season.
Well said. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So I hate that crap. I hate that.
I do too. That's a good point too. I like that. You brought that up.
I'll sit here. Like, this is an LA football show. Obviously, both our teams are in the Pac-12. I can sit here and say the SEC is probably the best football conference. Like, I don't argue that overall. But I'm sick and tired of people just picking and choosing, like, well, this SC team, no, that's not a true good win. Like, okay, so what? You just got to beat Alabama, that's it? Like, we all know Alabama's the best team in the country, but you guys claim the SEC is the best conference in the country, but Ole Miss doesn't count, Mississippi State doesn't count, Vanderbilt doesn't count, all these teams don't count. Like, get out of here with that crap.
Yep, I agree.
You're the best, you're not, and we just beat you. So
very true.
Take your beads and head back to Baton Rouge.
Wonder if they gave him L beads. That'd be funny.
That'd be good. So, all right. Well, let's wrap up with this, Coach. So we'll briefly talk on, like I said, UCLA bye next week, plays Fresno State at the Rose Bowl the following week, and then USC hosts Stanford, which we'll get into in the later week show. But I'll do a deeper preview of these Rams and Chargers game later in the week for any of you out there listening. But I want to get the coach's thoughts since he's in here hanging out with me after a sun-filled pool day. So thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
But let's start with this Chargers game. Head to Washington to play the football team. Great defensive front. Maybe one of the best in football. How do you like the Chargers odds in this game? I mean, I know you're not following them as closely anymore as you used to, but from the little bit you've seen in preseason or a little bit you've talked to me, what's your thoughts on this game? So if you were just on Bet Online picking this game, who are you picking and why?
I would pick the Chargers, but it's going to be a close game in my opinion. I think this is definitely going to be a really tough first test for Rashawn Slater. I mean, the guy's been impressive from what I've seen in camp. He's been impressive in preseason. Well, now you're going to, week one, welcome to the NFL, young buck. We got Chase Young. We got
fire, bro.
Yeah, Montez Sweat. We got a lot of pass rushers coming at you now. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the offensive line holds up against that front seven. But I do think the Chargers are talented enough to overcome some of that. I think Herbert's going to have a solid year. Everything I've read, everything I've heard, I don't know a lot about Brandon Staley. But from what I've seen and everything we have in terms of, documentation on what he can do, I think he'll be okay. And with that defense and the pieces they have, Bosa, Kenneth Murray, Chris Harris, Derwin James, knock on wood. I think that's going to be an interesting group. And I think it's going to be a closer game because Washington does have a lot of good football dudes that are going to be donning that uniform. But the Chargers should be able to overcome that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, and I can attest Brandon Staley is going to be great. I'm on that hype train. I've been on it since January of 2020. So when he was still the Rams' brand new defensive coordinator. But yeah, it's going to be a really good game. You've talked about it a little bit, and I'll talk about it more later. But to me, I mean, it's a tough matchup. In this Washington, this is a playoff team. I know they technically won less games than they won, or lost more games than they won last year, going 7-9. But they went to the playoffs. They almost beat the Buccaneers with a Taylor Heineke XFL quarterback at the helm. So I think they're going to be even better than they were last year. All year, though, their MO was defense and that defensive front, which is there a better defensive front than them, or are they the best in football?
I mean, Cleveland is good. But man, Washington, I don't know. Washington, I'll say it for the sake of this show. Yeah, they have the best one.
Yeah, it's top three probably for sure. Like whatever you want to argue, whatever. But I don't think anyone would argue less than top three. So
yeah,
big test for this offensive line. Brian Bulaga is already banged up. Surprise, surprise. Take a drink if you heard that before. So we may end up seeing Storm Norton starting at right tackle, which is not something the Charger team wants.
Hey, there's a storm of brewing.
Yeah, and it's against the Chargers. So that would be something to definitely take note on, Chargers fans, because that could change things a lot. Luckily, as I've said many times, this offensive line can't get any worse than they were last year. So when you saw what Herbert was able to do behind that unit, you got to think, okay, even if a guy's banged up or out, I think we should still be okay and be able to be successful. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be close. I do like the Chargers, though. I don't know. Something about this team seems special, and I think this Washington team, Washington's defensive front is great. I think the Chargers offense can do enough, and then Washington's offense, I just don't know if they'll be able to do much against this Chargers defense. So that's my opinion. But now the Sunday night plate, the Sunday night snack or dessert, if you will, since it is Sunday night football. The Rams host the Bears for like the 25th time in a row, it seems like, as they play every season. They're basically in the same division now, almost, it seems like. But no, in reality, I think it's the fourth year in a row they do play them. Andy Dalton will start at least a half, we're told. He said he's a starter, but he'll play at least a half. I mean, we'll see if they pull him after that. I would think you like the Rams in this one, but what's your thoughts on this game? And if you were a betting man on Bet Online, who are you taking?
Yeah, I bet Rams. I mean, yeah, it's tough because the Bears do have a good defense. I mean, Roquan Smith and of course Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
they're well coached. good scheme. They're fundamentally sound. All the things you say about a good defense, right? And they were good last year. They're going to be good again this year. That's just what the Bears are, and that's what they try to build their team around. But yeah, the offense is where. Yeah, I mean, when you're facing the Rams defense, statistically, in terms of scoring defense, I believe Rams were number 1 last year.
Yep.
So yeah, you're throwing Andy Dalton out there, and your running back group is banged up, and your offensive line is suspect. Your wide receivers, the ones that are there, don't seem to be that happy. Like, yeah, it's only a matter of time. So many times Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and all these guys make a play, and Andy Dalton can't seem to keep his head and be able to overcome this adversity. Yeah, in comes a rookie, Justin Fields, who seems to be cool as a cucumber no matter the situation. Yeah, I think we might see Fields in this game. I don't know if we should, but I think that's a tough. Not only do you not get the start as a rookie, but you're going in second half against Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and most likely, if you're going in, that means you're down by probably 2.5 scores. So
yeah,
that's tough, to ask of a rookie to do. So I don't know if that's best for him if that does happen. But yeah, regardless, we're getting into some weeds here. But yeah, Rams. I'm gonna bet Rams.
Yeah, it's a good bet. It's a good bet. I love the Rams, and Matthew Stafford has played the Bears a few times, so I think he knows what to expect. Yeah, he's familiar against that Bears defense, and I think he's ready to show. I think he's just so ready to show that he's worth the value that was traded for him. I don't think he's.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah,
I drafted Tutu Atwell in my dynasty league.
Okay.
How much can I expect from him week 1?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't start him in week 1. Definitely. I think as a dynasty, I think that's a great pick because I think he has value later on, but I don't know if we'll see him a ton in week 1 just because of how deep. Like, there's so many mouths to feed with this Rams team.
Is Deshaun Jackson over under 2 touchdowns
in week 1?
Yep.
2 touchdowns?
Yep. Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, I got to go under 2 in one game.
You think?
But I guess because you're asking because he seems to blow up in week 1s like every other year. So.
Well, I just feel like this team, if you're game planning to shut down the Rams offense, you're game planning for Kupp and Woods and and Deshaun Jackson with his speed, you get one-on-one coverage with him, take advantage of it.
I could, if you put the over under at 2.5, I'd probably go under because I could see him getting 2. At 2, it's hard to go over, seeing him get 3.
Right.
If it was
I'm not a betting guy. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I could see him getting 2. That's a lofty goal on his first game as a Ram, but
I don't know.
This Rams, I know McVay and Matthew Stafford want to come out and show the world what this offense can be right off. I know they just want it. They're sick of everyone because there's like the hype. There's like half the people that are like hyped, like, wow, this is gonna be a good offense, and there's the detractors that are like, Rams gave up all this way too much. Goff could have been good too. Matthew Stafford's never won a playoff game. He had Megatron, didn't do anything with him, blah, 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 blah. So, they want to just come out and just put up 45 plus points in this game and show the world that this was the best move they could have done. So, yeah, I could see them airing out to Deshaun 6 times.
Yeah, I don't know. I might, who knows? I'm going to call it, though. Why not? I'm going to call Deshaun Jackson is going to be the MVP of this game.
Okay. With 2 touchdowns or more?
At least.
At least
2. He's going to pull at least a double duty.
There you go. 2 tubs.
1 in each half.
Yeah. 1 in each half. I love it. That'd be great. So, Sunday Night Football. You got plans for the game? Or are you just watching at home?
I'm just going to watch it at home. Yeah.
Okay. Can't beat that. So, all right. Well, before I get you out of here, I gotta say, with your Kansas flag in the back, congrats on Kansas winning a football game this weekend.
Thank you.
Storming the field after beating a D2 team. Nothing better than that.
Screw it. I don't care. Like at this point, I'd storm the field if we beat Bishop Sycamore. So I'm thrilled to death that the program got a win. That was a much needed win, a much needed positive note to start this coaching hire off the new era. I think it's huge, and I tough test against Coastal Carolina, but it'll be interesting to see what this team does after a win.
Yeah, well, good. Well, congrats Thanks, as always, for joining me, brother. Appreciate you. We'll get you back on here soon, but enjoy the rest of your night, okay?
I appreciate you too, man.
Big thanks to my coach, my friend, as always. He's a regular on the show. Always fun chatting ball with him. Thank you all for listening to the LA Football Podcast here on the LA Football Network, LAFBnetwork.com. Guys, cannot be more thankful for what you're doing for this network. I cannot be more pumped about what this network is doing. Ready to take this season by storm and be the best damn LA football coverage here in the Southland. That's our goal. That was my goal when I started this company, and I think we're achieving that. We have some of the best writers in the business, some of the best podcasters, cover all your teams 24/7. We're on the radio now too on 1090, so we're keeping to grow. So really appreciate you. And also some exciting news. Our pod is partnering with playactionpools.com this season to bring some interactive fun to the sport we all love most. So you'll be able to get in the action with our playactionpools.com football pick'em challenge, which is open to everyone. So you're going to sign up for our contest. It's called the Believe Football Pick'em. Once again, at playactionpools.com, and then get your picks in each week. We're going to select the 10 highest profile games of the week between NFL and college football. Whoever gets the most picks correct each week will win either a pair of electric sunglasses and or a pair of DC shoes. It's pretty solid. It's free, easy. You can go to playactionpools.com, sign up for the contest, Believe, BLEAV, Football Pick'em. And if you plan on hosting your own football contests, you can go to the playactionpools.com today, set up everything there, and host your own office pools. So yeah, fun new partner for us here at the LA Football Show. But thank you all for listening. Appreciate you. Hope you have a fantastic week. We'll be back later in the week to fully preview with some great guests. A couple players coming on as well. So get hyped for that. Preview this Chargers-Washington game and this Rams-Bears game and this USC-Stanford game. Like I said, UCLA has a bye this week. So we'll hit all of that later in the week. Thank you for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB, main account at LAFB Network. Like and subscribe wherever you listen to the show. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to our show there at LAFB Network. We would certainly appreciate it. Hope you all have a great week. We'll talk here soon. Peace.